Hey, sixth grade, Miss Nur here. I just made a short, or I'm making a short recording to help you with your 4.03 Off the Beaten Path lesson. So it takes place in the Wild West. Checking out my Wild West music. Hopefully it's playing through on here. I've never tried syncing music up with my recordings before, but this is my first try. Okay, so Off the Beaten Path by Thomas Moran. He's the artist we're going to be focused on. He was a painter. All right. So after the Civil War, Americans looked to the west for adventure. Trappers and traders were returned to the east um, from a region along Yellowstone River. They told of these natural wonders that seemed to be from another world. They described rocks, the color of the sun, shooting up geysers, all kinds of things like that. Were they crazy, or could such things really exist? All right. Thomas Moran, painter. This is what really got him interested in painting in the West right here. So he was hired to illustrate an article on Yellowstone. He based his pictures that he illustrated on the descriptions and sketches made by people who had already been there. When he finished, he had to go west to see for himself. So the sketches that he made were purely based on other people's descriptions. Pretty neat, huh? Pretty talented. Um, He was hired by Ferdinand Hayden to lead a survey of Yellowstone. Hayden wanted to convince the U.S. Congress to protect Yellowstone. He knew the job would be much easier if he could bring back pictures, so he hired a photographer, and then he also brought along a painter, Thomas Moran. The photographer was Jackson. All right, he made friends. Moran made friends with the expedition photographer William Henry Jackson. Together, they selected the best views of their work so that he had somebody to bounce ideas off of and get kind of creative and constructive criticism going on. Moran helped Jackson frame his compositions, and Jackson's photographer provided the details for all of Moran's paintings. So from this information, we can say that Moran worked with photographers on expeditions of the West. Check out that star right there. What's that mean? Ding, ding, ding. It's on the quiz, y'all. All right. William Henry Jackson, photographer. So this isn't anything you necessarily need to know for your quiz, but it had some cool photography history in there. In the early days of photography, images were made with fragile glass plates and large, heavy cameras. I mean, huge cameras they'd have to set up, and they had big legs that came out, and then once they took the picture, they had a big piece of fabric they put over their head so it would be dark and they could see everything. Jackson had to set up the camera, focus, and run into a tent to bathe the glass plate in light-sensitive chemicals. Then he would scramble back, put the plate in the camera, took the picture, and ran back to the tent again to develop it. The timing for everything was tricky, and sometimes the camera even stood on the edge of the cliff. That would make me very scared. Super weirded out by heights over here. All right, next slide. Moran had his own challenges. He sketched the landscapes in small, vivid watercolors. He painted the steep rock walls in glowing yellows and reds that seemed to burn from within. Okay, back home in his studio, he painted his favorite scene on a huge canvas measuring 7 by 12 feet. So he used those watercolors as just kind of like a little um, mini study for when he could paint them larger and in greater detail. Okay. If you look, Moran included members of the expedition for the scale. So that's just showing how small things were in relative size to this huge Grand Canyon. Has anybody been? I've never been. I really want to go. All right, but if we can see like way down here, I think that's, whoop, go back one. That's where they're at. So teeny tiny people. All right, dramatic impressions. All right, so how could Moran paint all the colors of the sun-drenched rock? Look for values of brown, from light tints to dark shades, find variations of brown such as reddish brown and tans and creams and yellow brown. I mean, there's all kinds of different colors going on here, even though they're kind of within the same um, palette of colors here. They're very similar. Many multiple different colors are on there. Moran used the lighter, brighter colors where the sun hit the rocks, and he used deeper shades for shadows. Would the painting look as realistic if he hadn't used so many colors? Probably not, because if you look outside your window, even now, there are many, many different shades of colors. You know, outside the leaves are brown, the trees are green somewhat. You know, even though it's winter, we still have some of that going on. You know, there's a depth to nature with all the different colors, so it wouldn't be as realistic if he didn't use all those colors. Moran painted from his memory, and that's pretty difficult to do. But he also used some of Jackson's black and white photographs for helps with the details. All right. Moran's color showed the splendor of Yellowstone, and Jackson's black and white photographs convinced skeptics that the wonders of Yellowstone were in fact not fiction. Within months, Congress voted to protect Yellowstone as a national park for everyone. Friends began to call Moran Yellowstone for the place he loved so much, and from that point on, he used Y as his middle initial for the rest of his life. So they did it. Moran's paintings and Jackson's photographs were proof that the West was as beautiful as described, and Congress voted to protect Yellowstone as a national park. All right, so as you can see, there's a big star over here too, so that means it's going to be on your quiz. Like I said, I try to keep this short and sweet. Everything that is in a little orange box and has a star next to it means it's going to be on your quiz. Good luck, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great weekend.